Hello, hi everyone. Hi Aleem, can you hear me?
Okay. Uh,
Hi Aleem, so this is the beginning of our very first session, like youth session, youth at the rate focus, and I hope I'm audible to you. Hello, I can see you
yeah,
now. Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yeah, I hope goes on fine now. So we have just one viewer as of now, so I can see you, and hopefully it will increase as time will come. So Youth for IG has joined us as well.
Okay. Hi, guys. Okay. So you kind of understand the dynamic, right? Or you have any question?
No, I think we are good. We are just waiting for Agita to join us. So she said she will shortly be joining us, and then we can begin our session, I believe. Is that fine?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. As soon as Agita join, I'll just add her in the live session, and then we will continue with our conversation today.
Oh, Agita is here. You can
Okay.
see her.
Yeah. I'll just add her. Hi Agita, so you have joined us. I hope you are able to hear me. Welcome to this session today. I, as Regional Engagement Director of Youth Observatory Asia Pacific region, welcome you on board of our very first Youth at the Rate Focus session of Instagram. And it would be great if you could just send me a request so that I can quickly add you and we begin our great conversation. Yeah. Hi everyone. So in a while we'll be just adding Agita, who is our speaker today, and we will be discussing COVID-19 care, xenophobia online, and anti-racism on social media platforms. I have still not seen any requests from Agita. Agita, can you just send me a request to add you?
I think you have to close my window and then call
Okay, yeah,
her.
yeah. Okay, I'll try that. Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah,
Atif.
I had cut Eileen, but unfortunately she was willing to go.
Yeah,
Or maybe it's my mobile that has been
it's
doing this.
actually for only 2 person on
Yeah, yeah, I
Instagram.
assure you, I'm not
Unfortunately,
that discriminatory in that sense. So now, as we proceed, so it's great to have you. So those of you who don't
thank
know,
you.
Agita has been a women leader who is currently the founder of Bully.id, which is an app which I'm very fond of. It is a future artificial intelligence app that combines psychology and law principles to proactively identify cyberbullying with artificial intelligence based analysis. And we are going to talk more about it as we proceed with our session. So today, Agita, as you are aware of the agenda, we would be talking about COVID-19 care, one of your initiative that you took on behalf of your organization, Bully.id. Then we are also going to talk about xenophobia initially, and then all the anti-racism events that we have been witness to on social media during this time. And these are very unprecedented times as the new coronavirus outbreak has provoked lot of social stigma and discrimination. So I would like to begin with asking you, how has this new normal been for you? Like this new environment, and what was your first response when you saw so much of hatred or social stigma or were witness to discrimination? Could you believe it? Because these are trying times, and when everyone should be together on a common platform, things, I believe, diverted a bit. So I would like to start with taking your points on that. Yeah.
Thank you, Atif, and thank you so much for inviting as well. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and let your friend knows that we are live, so they can be joining us as well today. So yes, I think Atif already mentioned earlier in the beginning. I'm currently building Bullied app. At the same time, basically, we have two things going on at the moment. So we have one, basically COVID care by Bully.id, and another one is the applications that we're currently developing it. So COVID care by Bully.id basically is a free mental health support that we're providing during the COVID-19. And not just in terms of the free mental health support, but also a sort of kind of like legal knowledge that we provide. The reasons why we combine two things together, because we see it is based on our research. Basically, we're asking a couple of victims of online racism, online discriminations, even a simple cyberbullying before even the COVID-19 happened. People not just engage with cases like online harassment and even harassment physically, require a sort of kind of like mental health support, but in the end, they also want people basically not experiencing the same thing happen to them. So by having the awareness, basically we telling people that there is a legal consequences for every single things that we do online. It is not just because you don't see the victims directly, then you feel less guilty or something is not going to be prosecuted. Basically, whatever that you do in real life is going to be the same thing what you cannot do or you cannot do online as well. So with COVID-19 and all this new normal, of course, there's a lot of things going on since COVID-19, and it is not just the way we work. We're now working from home, and we have to make sure that ourselves is always be connected on, Zoom, Skype, or any kind of like a like an online video platform as well. It's been challenging, obviously, because the way we actually consume the social media these days is way getting higher and higher. There is a lot of peer pressures as well. There is a lot of things in terms of different perspective when it comes to being locked down or not being locked down, because living in Indonesia, for example, if people is not getting paid in a day, in a monthly basis in here, the moment when there's a lot of online drivers in here, basically they are earning money in daily basis. The moment when they go out, they earn money. So if imagine how many people that won't be able to bring a food on the table for their family if they're all being fully locked down. And obviously our government will not being able to provide all the support, for every single person. So having as in developing countries, obviously. So this has been really challenging in terms of how we adjust with this, working from home online, and as well as with this COVID-19. And in the same time, we've been receiving a lot of reports basically through COVID Care Bully.id so far. The COVID-19 starting with the kind of label as a kung flu before, as a lot of xenophobia online, a lot of Chinese as well in Indonesia, even in surrounded in different countries. So having said that, this, we're a human being, and then we are not the virus. Obviously, we have to say that we have to protect ourselves. But online racism and discrimination is getting harder and harder since we spending most of our time basically on social media. So there is a peer pressures, and that's leading so much in terms of anxiety and discriminations, because the moment when you see someone, even that you just probably basically want to get something, outside from the groceries, but people look at you in a very different way. So That's one of the things that we've been receiving in terms of the online racism and xenophobia online. A part of that, um, a lot of things that also happening because this COVID-19 is giving too much perspective in a real life. So Indonesia is one of the biggest Muslim population in the world. So we have a different ulama and different thought as well. The moment when they say the government say that this is a lockdown and we're not even able to do a Friday Jummah, a lot of people basically come up and say that you are not a Muslim country anymore. I mean, we're not Muslim country, but you are not basically a part of the Muslim community anymore. So it is a battle between the medical industry, a medical from the Ministry of Health, and then it's a battle as well in terms of our Muslim communities. With among the Muslim communities, there's one ulama saying yes, we have to follow whatever the government said, and there is one basically said that if we do that, this virus basically comes from Allah, and why don't we have to have a fear on this? So it's getting a lot of clashes, and this clashes is really creating even sort of kind of like a racism, not just online, but also in a physical. And this is getting harder and harder because there is a lot of perspective and we have no idea which one that we have to follow.
That's true. I agree with that. I mean, with the increase in these racist rhetorics, that it has led to racial attacks as well. I mean, I read a news that in UK they have been shouting names at Asian ethnicities, and even in Southeast Asian countries that you mentioned. So I would be interested in knowing, since we have a lot of young audience here and even an audience which is tech savvy and uses a lot of technology. So how have you been able to, navigate all those technologies, browse around, and how did you come up with this idea to, bring along AI-driven analysis to your xenophobic studies and, derive results out of COVID-19 care project that you mentioned? So how have you been able to leverage technologies during such times, and what impact has it made so far, like in combating xenophobia like this? Yeah.
So the COVID care Bully.id basically it is not utilizing artificial intelligence at the moment because what we want to do is we want to provide a psychology first aid, and everything is basically run by the trained volunteers. So we are utilizing a live chat on COVID care platform. Although the principle is exactly the same, basically we provide mental health support and legal assistance or legal knowledge. But with the Bullied app that we're currently developing, we're basically combining it with artificial intelligence because the person who will be, we're trying to reinvent it the way telehealth and telelegal works, because like it or you don't like it, the future is going to be different. The way we work is going to be different. Probably we are hosting an event. It's no longer having a physical events in the future. A lot of psychologists, lawyers not being able to meeting their clients and their patients, for example. So there is no integrations of these two together, and that's why I come up with an idea of combining these two together to basically assisting of victims. So many of the cases, for example, like cyberbullying issues or sexual harassment at work, and that's actually one of the second cases that we received quite a lot during the COVID-19 as well. There is a lot of women experiencing sexual and verbal harassment during working from home, and this is one of our concerns because we have a Harassment Equality Act, we have Employment Act, but again, in fact, it's not really working as what it is. And then probably there is a bias between determining the workplace as a normal workplace, and now we're taking our work at home. So whether or not that, it is actually still comply with the Harassment Act at workplace or Employment Act or not. So this is something that I guess the government has to be focusing as well, and in terms of as well as with the company, to provide a better transparency and better benefits for the employee when they're actually taking work from home. So in terms of artificial intelligence, we realize many of the people that having a depressions and feeling anxiety, and they know there's something wrong with them. They probably have a suicidal thought or attempted to do suicide. But most of the people, if we ask them, they don't really know what exactly triggered them. So there is a need of utilizing artificial intelligence in here on how our app basically able to connect with the social media activities that the users basically have it. Again, it really depending on whether the user wants to connect it or not. But at the moment how our AI basically able to work, it's by the user integrating their social media. So then if most of the people, when they experiencing sort of kind of depressions, they tweet it or they write a captions. So platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they're not a healthcare platform, but they have a health data. You know, it can read what whether you are anxious or you're depressed and what kind of hashtag that you're looking for. So that's the artificial intelligence, we combine it. So we see what kind of activities that you do on social media, and we combine it with self-assessment. So from there, our artificial intelligence basically tell you what the analysis and what kind of issues that you are having before even you go to the mental health support and legal assistance by lawyers and solicitors. So it is one of the way then how basically we would not just as a bridging between psychologists and lawyers, but we also would like you to have an awareness.
Okay, I mean, it was quite eventful to know about these impacts of xenophobia that you mentioned. As you mentioned about government's intervention in some cases as well, because I think it's a huge responsibility of the state to come up with preparedness and response for such kind of events, because as you know, these are very sudden, and during such precedented times, we have seen quite a surge in fake news, misinformation, phishing, hacking, data breaches, and it has somehow led to that anti-racism sentiment as well, where people have been fighting with each other on social media. So what do you think are the concrete reasons due to which this has arisen? And you mentioned like Facebook and Google, companies like this can come up with, some kind of initiatives like a private partnership initiatives along with the government to solve this. So what has been your experience working with the government of Indonesia or any, NGO that you collaborated with? How can these collaborative efforts make a long-term impact in combating this kind of xenophobia and anti-racism sentiments here?
Yes, we are in the internet governance, a community. Of course, we are pretty much very well known and aware about the term of multi-stakeholder, relationship, and how basically it is one of the tools that it's really important when it comes to online activities, and how basically everyone has to be behaved. Again, internet, it is not one single person who using it. And platform like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everything is basically a private sector that providing information for positive way. But again, we cannot expect everyone is utilizing this in the way that we want it. Of course, we cannot expect life is going to be full of good people in the end, right? So this platform, it is how we are as a human being, or the person who basically utilizing the platform, who basically providing the content, how we engage on Instagram, for example. It is not Instagram who providing the content, but is as a user. So again, digital literacy, it's very, very, very important. Second, a part of digital literacy, we have to kind of like create sort of kind of self-resilience in terms of the user itself, because online life could be really stressful, I guess. So from many of the like young people, especially for younger users, there's a lot of peer pressures going on, and then they have no idea how to protect themselves and how to be able to, replying if they receive a sort of kind of like negative comments or a verbal harassment on social media. Of course, the government, private sector, Instagram right now have thousands of, I mean, not thousands, but few of the way how basically we can report, we can block, we can restrict it. So the platform itself is basically already providing such a great tools how we can protect ourselves. Again, we as a users, our awareness and the way we actually protect ourselves is also very much important. There is a huge aspect in here when it comes to digital parenting, as which is very important. And when it comes to the government as well, this is one of like the level that basically government has to work in a different level together. So hand in hand with the private sector in the same time, to making sure that the government has the policies that everybody can follow, in the same time to bring the consequences of every single cyber issues or cyber crime. So then people realize that these issues or this case, what they've done is basically wrong. And there is a laws and policies that implemented in the country. So then it's giving the effect that people will understand that that's not supposed to be something that I should do. So unfortunately, until today, in Indonesia, for example, there is no cyberbullying cases has been prosecuted. So this is why I think thousands of people, even just recently, Indonesians were attacking or bullying, cyberbullying one of a TikTok celeb. Like so, until this person is a very young, she is I think below 15 years old, and then she feels like she's, she have a very, I think she depressed and she has no idea what's going on because those Indonesians basically speak in their own language. But she decided to, sign out from all her social media, and then she deleted all the social media itself. So I guess coming from this, a lot of things that happened previously as well, and then even in a very extreme level, for example, like revenge porn, and then in this case, it is not just hurting you individually, but it's going to hurt the whole entire family and the friends of the victims as well. So we even as a person, sometimes we forget that the moment when we know someone who is a victim, we're supposed to actually help and support instead of basically questionings or judging the person. So this is something that, again, digital literacy is important, followed by all the legal consequences that has to be enforced.
Yes, definitely agree with you on that. Do you think that a robust cyber security strategy at times is needed, like as compared to some Western countries, like they have GDPR or more stringent reforms in such areas? Are those needed in Asian countries as well, where we can, transmit or, filter these kind of cases,
Yeah.
and they are prosecuted more, proactively rather than just hanging on, because it gives a lot of, motivation to other offenders as well when the cases are not prosecuted probably as they should be. So there is an angle of law enforcement, but it takes a lot of policy consultations and everyone.
course.
So, yeah. So it was quite a good discussion. We are also running out of time, so I would also request all the participants to throw in your questions too. And as you know, Agita, so these are trying times for all the participants here as well. We have a young audience. Some of them are like graduating, some of them are in final year, and they have been, doing online courses rather than in-person, face-to-face interaction. Like we have to deal with online graduation ceremonies as well. It's hard to find jobs during such times. So it leads to a lot of, distress at times. And it affects the mental health as well. So does your app or does this app deal with mental health as a parameter to judge, cases, or how would you you must have had a different strategy before this pandemic to reach out to the victims or to different kind of stakeholders. But now, have you revised that strategy since we are in the post-pandemic, era? And how would you take it forward? I mean, how would you reach out to more people? What's your plan? Or have you ever
Yeah.
thought of it, or the mental health aspect of it?
Yes, you're right. So, in terms of, I think, Bully.id, one of the way that we're trying to engage more people to come, it's basically to provide this as an online virtual, so it's called online virtual internship or virtual internship scheme. So this is one of the way how we can attract more people and more universities, students as well, to do an internship with us. In the same time, people, basically different faculty in their university, can also utilizing the platform. So we are in the midst of basically negotiating with one of the universities in Indonesia. So initially, this virtual internship program is designed to the university students, which is the Faculty of Psychology and Faculty of Law. So since then, they actually don't be able to do an internship at the moment, so they can do internship with us. And it is based on the university collaborations with us. So then they will receive the report, they will receive basically all the certificate from their university and from us at the same time. And this platform is also being used for the other faculty in their university. So that way we can reach out more people. In the same time, they can also get the benefit as a student. So this is one of the ways that we engage more students.
Wow, that is a great medium of learning as well. Like education can
Yeah.
go a long way in teaching about those moral aspects as well. So we have a quick question from the Youth IGF team of India here. They have asked, is there a national cyber security strategy in Indonesia? So yeah, just on the points that we stressed upon before this chat.
Yes.
So is there
We have.
Okay.
Yes, we do have our laws and policy under ITE, so Information Technology and Electronic. Although we don't have yet our GDPR, our own GDPR or national GDPR, there is a bill that is basically discussions in order for Indonesia to have our own GDPR. But again, no one basically knows when the bill is becoming the laws and policies. But yes, we do have.
Okay. So are there any other questions from our audience? Otherwise, I will just continue our chat with Agita. So do throw in your questions. So meanwhile, as soon as we get free, so we can ask those questions. So also, I mean, the need for government there is, but there is like United Nations Secretary General, when Antonio Guterres, he says that, and I quote, that the pandemic continues to unleash a tsunami of hate and xenophobia, scapegoating and scaremongering, and urge governments to act now to strengthen the immunity of our societies against the virus of hate. So this describes how important this issue of xenophobia has become during current times. Do you think this is a high time that we take this topic more broadly in discussions of United Nations Internet Governance Forum, or can raise it other human rights conference like RightsCon or somewhere else? Or have you participated in such conferences, or you would like to elucidate our audience about such opportunities where we can go and learn about more of initiatives that have been taken to curb this online hate? We would be glad to know. Yeah.
I think, yeah, the UNIGF is approaching. So then UNIGF will be annually, it's United Nations Internet Governance Forum that happen annually. So unfortunately, this year we have to do it virtual. Otherwise, we are going to meet again in Poland. So UNIGF is actually one of the UN bodies that mainly focusing in terms of internet, and as well as the internet advancement when it speaks about blockchain technology or AR, VR as well, a lot of things. And it's literally everyone can come. So whether you're coming from NGOs or academic background, government, private sector, feel free to come. A part of that, when we speak about xenophobia, especially UNESCO at the moment is also focusing in terms of um, UNESCO basically in terms of the way how we can and in terms of the structural racism in our education program. And it's really important because when it comes to racism, it has to start in a very early in the beginning, and then it means we have to start from children, from kids, from young people, and it starts from education. So UNESCO is also working on that part. In the same time, I guess the Antonio, basically, Secretary General of the UN itself, is having a secretarial section of the digital corporations, and so I guess they are also working in the area of online xenophobia and online harassment. I think this is crucially is and really important why the UN is basically stated that this is going to be one of the issues that the government has to be focusing on, because it speaks very broadly about the country's sovereignty. So the moment when we actually breaking apart inside, it means the whole entire things in the country. It's basically probably the breaking up. So especially country like United States and the UK, where majority of the people is a cultural melting pot. So there's a lot of people coming from different background, third and fourth generations, and so having diversity from Black, Asians, minorities, ethnic group with actually there's a white group as well. It's actually really harmful for the society. So it's creating a lot of crimes in the end. So I believe that this is one of the issues that we have to be really focusing on when we speak about internet. So it is not just mainly to develop more infrastructure and the internet policy itself, but we have to think what would be the effect for issues like racism and xenophobia.
Yeah, that's right. So we have Aleem says that more background on UN International Day. Okay, she has shared one document which is on UN International Day for Elimination of Racial Discrimination, which is 21st March. And yeah, that was quite insightful. I mean, I'm perplexed, and you're right. Like, it's been 25 years since the invention of internet, and almost 4 billion people now use the internet, and we have been seeing rise in this number. And so there are obviously repercussions to that as well, which we need to deal with more proactively. And as you rightly mentioned, that we as a multi-stakeholder theory of internet governance goes a long way to tackle these situations. So that was a great discussion. I mean, I'm very much inspired by your initiative of Bully.id as well, and the COVID-19 care initiative, and the youth-led internship initiative that you have come up with during such times to help the youth to learn more about these issues in the current times. So is there any specific message that you would like to give our audience, the youth, to utilize this time and come up with novel ideas, come up with innovation to tackle, this kind of hateful events, or to, come up with innovation in technologies and how to, leverage those internet tools. So how would you give them a small message, beautiful message maybe from your side? And I was there to witness your speech at the last IGF we met in Germany. And yes, you're right that we have been taking this year the IGF would be completely virtual, and I hope and I do advocate for these sessions to be held more proactively on human rights violation, anti-racism, and phobia and xenophobic online, so that we create an environment which is more aware of these issues. So lastly, what would be your message to the young audience? And if we can have one or two questions from the audience, and with that we would have to close, because Agita is also busy with her schedule, and then we'll wrap up this session.
Right. I think, Atif, I believe that the followers of Youth Observatory mainly are young people who is passionate about internet and the advancement of the technology in the same time. So I think as a young people, we have to realize one thing that the moment when this COVID-19 is basically hitting us really hard right now, life is going to be different today and in the future. So as a young people, we know that we have to sort of kind of like depending our life right now with the technology. So one thing that I would like to basically call our young people, our fellow, our friends out there, if you think that this technology and this how life is basically so much integrations with the internet, let's create our internet is basically a better and a safer community and environment for all of us. And it could be starting from you to understand whatever that you do in online basically have the same consequences as what you do in a real life. And second of all, I would like to connect with many of the young people who have more ideas about doing something. Let's connect it and let's create something for a better internet community as well. Because we know that many of the government, even like as big as many of the companies as big as like Pizza Hut and you name it, like McDonald's, they even furlough their employees. So this is really our time to create something that it's meaningful, that it can be sustainable, and that can also bring more employment in the future. So I guess that's my last message. And then I'm here. This is my Instagram. Let's connect it. Let's follow each other, and then let's create more sustainable environment in terms of online life, I guess.
Yeah, that's a beautiful note to end it. So let's make it sustainable. And as I read today, that it's not more about social distancing, but physical distancing. Socially, again, we can connect with each other like today we did and had this great discussion. Thank you so much for your time, Agita. I know it's late in
Thank you,
Indonesia.
Atif.
And we, on behalf of Youth Observatory, my team, every regional coordinator and the board, thank you from the deepest part of our hearts to take out time and elucidate our audience with your thoughts. And we will be back with more sessions. And meanwhile, if you do follow Agita to know more about this amazing girl who is coming up with great initiatives, she was also chosen among top 100 entrepreneurs in the world with an amazing program of women leadership. So you will be inspired. I mean, I'm inspired every day. I keep browsing her feed and stalk her. So you will be too. And this is a great way to interact with one another and stay motivated during such times. Take care, everyone, and hope to see you again on this great journey with our Youth at the Rate focus session. Thank you, Agita. Bye. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Atif. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.